Hey, Izuku-kun. Let's go to class. Said a girl with white skin, short black hair adorned with a small white brooch, and a pair of blue eyes that shone like a perfectly polished kyanite. My best friend, Oyuki Takebayashi. I'm coming to Takebayashi-san, I only took 5 more minutes today, I said while removing a small leaf that had fallen on my hair. That's what you said yesterday, he said with a smile. Let's go before you know who comes to bother us. Oh come on, it's the last day before we finally finish school, we'll finally be high school kids, I said as I started running towards Kitokawa School. Oh yeah, this is the last day of school before vacation starts and I will officially be moving on to middle school, which my mom already has selected and is Orudera Middle School, where unfortunately my former best friend Katsuki Bakugo is also, or as Takebayashi the explosive blonde calls him even though he's a guy, who became a complete idiot since he found out about my lack of quirk. Which in his eyes was a clear sign that he was on to me. Hey, Izuku-kun, I have something to tell you, she whispered as she held the sleeve of my white shirt that had a print of the phrase plus ultra. Yes, call me Takebayashi-san. I already told you to call me Oyuki, he said while puffing out his cheeks a little. Sorry, but I'll keep calling you Takebayashi-san, I said while I waited for the traffic light to allow us to continue. I want you to know that you're my best friend no matter what, he said with an insecure tone, which made me take it seriously. Is something wrong, Takebayashi-san? I asked as I took her forearm to cross the street. It's nothing. I'll tell you later, he said as he released himself from my grip and walked forward silently. Before I could say anything, I realized we'd arrived, just in time to get to class. Unfortunately, she wasn't in the same class as me, so the torturous hours of not speaking unless the teacher asked me to began. So while time passes and they talk about things I already know, I'd better get back to what I was doing. You see, I've had really bad luck for as long as I can remember. First, I don't know my father, second, I don't have a quirk, and third, my best friend turned into a piece of garbage as soon as he found out about the latter. Unlike me, he was born with a really cool quirk that was quite useful for the hero profession, which boosted his ego immeasurably. At first, his bullying of me was very mild, but as time went on, it became more constant, and again, unfortunately for me, it got worse. But when I turned 8, I met the woman who became my best friend, Oyuki Takebayashi, who was the first to reach out to me, even though she knew I was quirkless. Well guys, I'm very proud of you. I hope you maintain your performance in high school, said the sensei with a very forced smile. It was obvious that he already wanted to go to the bathroom. Sensei, would you allow me to go to the bathroom? I asked as I looked at the door and saw someone walk by. Don't take too long, Midoriya-kun. Understood. As I left, I tried to find my friend Takebayashi, but she seemed to pass by too quickly, maybe she was in a hurry. With nothing else to do, I decided to head for the bathroom, but it was on the other side of the school, so I had to walk through several classrooms to get there. I decided to go at my own pace, that means slowly and surely. If I step in lines, I'm gay, it's a game I quite like. On the way, I said hello to the man in charge of cleaning the place. But when I passed in front of the principal's office, I stopped and listened to Takebayashi. Checking to make sure the secretary wasn't there, I got close enough to the door to be able to hear properly. Thank you very much, Director, said a woman. Wait a minute, was that Takebayashi-san's mother? Why are you here? I whispered, swallowing. Don't thank me, Mrs. Takebayashi, the principal said, taking a sip of water. This is all thanks to your very intelligent daughter. Anyway, it was you who decided to give him that entrance exam for the best high school in Tokyo, the woman commented as she stood up from her seat. I was confused. Does that mean Takebayashi-san is going to leave? The answer was more than obvious, but my brain refused to accept it. I don't want her to leave my side. What am I going to do without her? In a matter of seconds, several memories flashed through my mind, where she was the one who defended me from the bullies until I learned to defend myself. Without realizing it, tears began to accumulate in my eyes. But all this was interrupted when the door began to open. Without wasting time, I ran out of there as fast as possible. And I headed towards the bathroom while tears fell in torrents. I want to go home, I whispered as I poured water over my face trying to wipe away the remaining tears, something that finally, for one of the few times luck was on my side and wasn't noticeable to the naked eye. Without attracting anyone's attention, I went to the office and told the secretary I was feeling ill and asked if she could call my mother, which they did, and she came to pick me up shortly after. I didn't want to see Takebayashi's face because I'd start crying and ask her not to leave, but I couldn't do that, no matter how much I wanted to. She'd already told me about that exam, and I thought I hadn't passed, but once again, fate made me unhappy. Izuku, Are you sure you don't want me to take you to the hospital? My mother asked while gently stroking my hair. No, Mom, it's not necessary. You'll see that I'll get better later, I said as cheerfully as possible. But I'm a terrible liar and my mom noticed that, but hey, I managed to fool the secretary, plus 10 points for me. It's because of Oyuki, right? I opened my eyes in disbelief. How did she know that? But then I remembered that she and Takebayashi's mom are close friends, so I didn't have to think too hard to figure it out. I simply nodded as I sank into her lap. I know it may be difficult for you. But you have to accept it, and go support her as her best friend. Believe me, that's what I want to do, Mom. I know you can, you are my son after all, aren't you? Yes, Mom, I am. And besides that, you're my little hero, he said, smiling kindly, and you know that the strongest are those who smile, and to me, you're the strongest of all. I just started crying as my mom continued to stroke my hair like it was the most precious thing she owned. Thanks, Mom. But I just couldn't do it. The day of the award ceremony I didn't go, and with that my last chance to see Takebayashi-san before she left Musetafu, I simply locked myself in my bubble and didn't even want to see her anymore because I knew I would start to cry. The years passed, and I had promised myself that I would study hard enough to get to the same high school as her, but I never achieved it, no matter how many times I tried. Years passed but I never forgot her, just like with my dream of becoming a hero, but this last one was in danger until that day came where my life changed forever. You can be a hero, said my greatest idol and number one hero, All Might, who decided to choose me as his successor, giving my life a turn where I would encounter many adventures. I had several incidents trying to control One for All, a quirk that All Might inherited from me by making me eat his hair, a taste not recommended, by the way, until he sent me to his former master, Gran Torino, who, by beating me, made me understand how to handle my quirk. I resigned myself to the idea of never seeing Takebayashi again. I never tried to maintain communication with her, so the only bridge that kept us connected was our mothers, but like all bridges, one day they fall, and just like the two of us, they stop talking to each other. Izuku, the exams are due today, right? My mother asked as I left my home. Yes, Mom, I'll show you when I get back, I said as I waved goodbye and started running toward the train station. After a while, I finally arrived at the station, and after scanning my pass, I headed to the place where the train that would drop me off near the school was waiting for me. I decided to listen to some music while I crossed the city until I got to where I had to get off. Without wasting any more time, I headed towards UA Academy and entered my classroom. I greeted my friends and ignored Bakugo, who for some stupid reason keeps calling me Deku even though I already beat him in the first exercise of hero classes. Thanks, Gran Torino, for wanting to meet me before entering the academy, but he can't seem to say anything else every time he sees me. Everyone take a seat, Ashawa-sensei ordered. It's time to hand out the exam scores. I'll start from the lowest to the highest. Denki Kaminari. You know, even though I knew this was going to happen, it still surprises me, the blonde said as he stared into space, causing a laugh that spread to all of us. And so it went on until I was named, finally concluding with Momo Yaoyorozu, who is the vice president while I'm the president. After talking about other topics, it was finally time for a break. After ordering my beloved, precious and exquisite katsudon, I headed towards an empty table while the boys ordered theirs, but before placing it on the table, my tray collided with someone else's. I looked up and found myself with a pair of eyes as beautiful as a sapphire. Unintentionally a blush formed on my face due to being so close to the girl. I could instantly tell he wasn't wearing the academy uniform, so the first thing that came to my mind was that he wasn't from here and had just arrived. I arrived first, that seat is empty, so please go there, she said. While I was thinking of an answer I noticed that she was nervous. I just sat down before she complained about anything. I know you're nervous and want to sit alone, but I don't think it'll be a problem if I keep you company, I said as calmly as possible, but inside I did my best not to stutter like I always do. She just sat down and I could watch her closely. She had reddish hair that was adorned by 2 small yellow stars, plus she had bought a lot of food, but I just laughed at that. This reminds me a little of her. I'm not going to judge you if you eat all of that, after all I eat a lot too, ha, 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 I said this time stuttering. Damn, I almost made it, plus 5 points for trying. I instantly saw her relax, and I decided to pull out my folded math test just to check my grade since I didn't see her in the classroom. She said something, but I didn't pay much attention. I assumed she was saying, thanks for the food, but by the time I realized, she already had my test in her hands. Embarrassment got the better of me, and I didn't say anything. Let's see. Izuku Midoriya-kun, your grade is. 100 points? Damn, now he's going to think I'm a nerd. Well done, Izuku. What good is having a quirk that, among other things, gives you super speed and you can't stop a leaf from being knocked out of your hands? I felt the temperature on my face rise, so I decided to cover it to avoid him seeing me directly, but it didn't work. I just thought it was a good thing. We're table mates, aren't we? She said, clasping her hands. Please teach me. My brain just froze, and I kept thinking, had I heard wrong? But I quickly dismissed that idea because she was expecting an answer. I just said what any hero would do when asked for help. Yes, with pleasure. Once again, my nerves are getting the better of me, and now I don't know what to do with that girl. It's not that I don't want to help her, it's that I don't know how. I've always studied, but only for myself. How am I supposed to help this girl? I'll figure out how to solve this problem later. Now I need to find out what grade she's in. Hey, what's your name? I asked as I stood up from my chair. Oh right, how careless of me. I'm Itsuki Nakano from Class 1D, she said with a smile as she looked at me. I must admit she's very beautiful, I said to myself, although, thanks to my bad habit of whispering almost everything I think, she heard it. Before he could even say anything, I left as quickly as I could without having to use one for all. Damn, I messed up again. The other 25 times I've done it aren't enough. Well done, Izuku, you've surpassed yourself, I said sarcastically as I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. Midoriya-kun, I find it quite strange that you talk to yourself in the bathroom, said my friend with glasses, Tenya Ida. Don't pay attention to me, Ida-kun, I'm just a little nervous is all. Understood, we'd better go to the classroom, he suggested as he dried his hands and then adjusted his glasses. It's almost time to go to class. Understood. Well, at least I'll be able to distract my mind with something until it's time to talk to Nakano-san. Classes are finally over, my best friend, Ochako Uraka, celebrated. Come on, today's classes were interesting, Ochako-chan, said a friend. I guess she is. Or something like that. Suyu Asui. It seemed like they were about to start a conversation I honestly didn't want to be a part of, or rather, couldn't. I need to talk to Nakano-san about any help I can offer. I'd better let mom know if I'm late. After leaving the hallway where my classroom was, I began to walk through the halls of UA. And thanks to my great luck, I got lost. Again. Until I felt someone touch my shoulder. I almost screamed in fright, but I suppressed it with all my willpower and turned around to see who it was. To my surprise, there was Nakano-san, although she looked a little different. Nakano-san? I asked a little nervously as I stepped back a little. Apparently the girl caught her off guard, then I realized she didn't have the 2 stars in her hair. Did she look a lot like her? You've probably already met some of the others, the girl said, but judging by her tone, she didn't seem very happy, and she didn't even wait for my answer. Hey, do you know where the 1D classroom is? I asked. I'm looking for Nakano-san. A girl with stars on her head. What do you need it for? She asked, adjusting a pair of blue headphones and letting out a long sigh. She looked a little intimidating at that moment, despite her small size. He asked me to teach him, that's all. I see. It's no longer necessary. Why? I asked, but mentally I was a little relieved. He now has a private tutor. So your help won't be necessary anymore, he said, then continued on his way. Thanks for telling me, tell your friend I hope she does well. Understood, but Itsuki is not my friend, she said as she walked away, finally disappearing from my sight. With nothing else to do, I simply left the academy heading to a place where I've been training since All Might gave me one for all. While teachers can't have favoritism for any of their students, this only applies to school activities. Therefore, anything I do outside, not as a UA student but as Izuku Midoriya, wouldn't have any kind of restrictions with any teacher. Besides, he's the #1 hero training his disciple. It would be outrageous for him to expect me to perform miracles if he doesn't help or instruct me in the least. At least he'll lend me a place to use my quirk without any problems. I should go buy something to drink for when I finish training. Before reaching the train station, I took a detour to a convenience store where I bought an All Might energy drink. But a few voices behind me made my hair stand on end. I think it was Nakano-san's and the other girls' voices, but I also heard 3 other voices, also female. As soon as they gave me my change, I thanked them and drank the drinks as I left the place as quickly as possible, trying not to be noticed. But it wasn't as if it was very easy for them to notice me when I fell a few seconds later because I had stepped on the laces of my left shoe. Damn, why me? Damn luck to me, I whispered as I tied my shoelaces tightly, my face quite red. Midoriya-san? Itsuki asked. I just stood up while I picked up my things. Hello Nakano-san, I said so quietly that almost no one heard while I looked at the floor. I heard you got a private tutor. I hope he helps. Oh yes, when I asked for your help I didn't know my father had gotten a private tutor, I'm sorry, he apologized with a small bow. You don't have to apologize for that, Nakano-san, I sighed and then took a deep breath, looking up so our eyes met, they are quite beautiful. Besides, a hero must be willing to help others, I said while smiling. But when I looked at the girls Nakano-san was with, I noticed they were extremely similar, both in hair color and eyes, and height, but two of them had short hair, and one had very long hair. I was lost in my thoughts when I felt my phone start to vibrate. I took it out to see who it was and was surprised to find it was All Might. I simply swiped the screen to answer. Hello Midoriya-shanen, are you ready for training? Hello All Might. To Toshinori, I corrected myself but it was too late, seeing the girls' faces I knew they already knew who I was referring to. I won't be able to be present for the training today, but one of my trusted employees will give you the keys so you can enter Midoriya-shanen. Understood Toshinori-san, don't worry, I'll try to increase the power little by little, an ambulance won't be necessary like the first few times, I said while laughing a little nervously. Due to an accident when I thought my body could handle more than 3% of the OFA and I ended up unable to move in addition to a visit to the hospital. Ha ha ha, that's the Midoriya-shanen attitude, I'll see you tomorrow at the academy. Although I still brought a friend I met who's a doctor, if you feel like the strain on your body is too much and you hurt yourself, talk to him. I hung up and left as quickly as I could. I felt bad for not saying goodbye to Nakano-san, but I didn't want to answer any questions now. Besides, my train was about to leave, and the next one wasn't due until another hour later. I ran and ran. I just hoped I'd make it on time. Damn, I ran to a remote convenience store just to save a few yen, and now this, my luck has smiled on me again. The train left me. Well done Izuku, today you're on a roll to ruin something, I'll have to take the bus, but it takes at least 40 minutes, it's almost the same, I said to myself while looking at my cell phone. I don't know what to do. Maybe I should wait for the train, although that'll be a bit slower and give me time to train, or maybe I should wait for the bus and have even less time. I think I'll have to ask my second best friend, Momo Yaoyorozu, for help. I hope she can help me. Midoriya-san. Hello. Yaoyorozu-san, thank you for answering. I need the transportation favor. Again. HMMP, it seems like you only call me when you need favors. Sorry. I know, how about we go out this weekend? Well, Midoriya-san, so you're asking me out to apologize. Just because it's you, I'll accept this time, but there's no excuse for you not to call one of your closest friends. Bad. Understood, I'll call you for things other than favors. Goodbye and take care, Yaoyorozu-san. Okay. But now call me Momo and I'll call you Izuku. Gosh. When Yaoyorozu-san is cute, I can't help but blush, even if it's just for a request like asking me to call each other by my first name now. I have nothing to lose by accepting her, and I gain a lot. Yay. Okay ya. Momo-san, thank you very much. Goodbye Izuku-kun. Can I faint? I know I said she's sweet and affectionate when she wants to be, but hearing her say my name makes me so happy. Now I'll have to do it with Uraka-san too. But this isn't the time to think about that. I need Momo's message about transportation. Izuku-kun, a limo with the license plate hash will pick you up. It belongs to a friend who is also around. I gave her your information and she said she already knew you. I hope you don't try anything with her. They'll wait for you in front of the hash store. Again, just because I meet a pretty girl doesn't mean I'm going to make her fall under what Momo calls Midoriya charm. According to her, I've had several girls after me. I know she's just saying that to annoy me, but she's said it so many times that I think it's real. PFFFF, yeah right, as if those things happen. Thanks, I'll do it. Wait a minute. Do I already know her? Where? When? I'd better leave that aside. The important thing is that Momo already knows where I have to go. Now I just have to wait where she told me to. This, or maybe it is, really? When Momo said the girl already knew me, I didn't think it was going to be Nakano-san. I just hope she overlooked my huge mistake of answering a call and saying I was talking to All Might out loud. Midoriya-san, Momo-chan told me you need help getting us to a certain address. Please get in. Thank you very much, Nakano-san. As soon as I got in I noticed that the other 4 girls who looked similar to Nakano-san were also in the limo. I think I know what's going on. Sorry to ask, but are you related or something? You two look so similar, I said, trying not to make eye contact with anyone, which worked. Why should we answer you? A girl asked me in a less than friendly tone. She had the longest hair of the five, and it was tied in two bows with a colorful pattern reminiscent of butterflies. Nino, I already told you not to talk to our classmates like that, Nakano-san scolded Nino. But I also don't know if I should answer your question. How about we play a game? You just have to say yes or no, although I think I'll still participate in this game. I don't think I have much to lose. I think it's right, I said to focus on Nakano-san. Okay, I'll ask a question and you answer me, and you can't lie, he said while looking at me intensely, making me feel a little uncomfortable. If you do I'll realize thanks to my quirk. Before you ask, my quirk allows me to identify 2 out of 3 lies. And I've already been wrong once. Okay, as long as you don't ask me anything about my quirk, there won't be any problem. Cammy, if you're there, help me. What's your quirk and what does it consist of? She asked while looking at me with stars in her eyes. Damn, I've got myself into trouble. If I tell him I don't know his name, he'll figure it out, and if I make up another name, he'll figure it out too. I have no choice but to try to dodge the question by answering halfway. Well, you see. My quirk allows me to accumulate energy that I can then use whenever I want, although there is a limit to how much energy I can use without my body suffering consequences for it, I explained while looking at my arm, and when I looked up I realized that the 5 of them were staring at me. Oh, that's very interesting. Now, but before she finished she was interrupted by the girl with the headphones. Can you tell us you were talking to All Might? Does the universe hate me? But I don't even know what I did to it. I have no choice but to accept that it lent me a place to train since I have to improve my control of One for All. That's private. But since I agreed, I can't go back, I said with a nervous smile. As I said before, my body can't handle the full capacity of my quirk, so I have to get it used to being able to retain large amounts of energy. He offered to get me a place where I can progressively increase my control over my quirk. Wow, that's amazing Midoriya-san, said a girl with short hair that had a green ribbon on top that moved. And not because of the wind. I blushed at the comment and looked away so they could see how red I was. Right now, I'm Izuku Strawberry Midoriya. -4 points for reaching this state. That's incredible, Midoriya-kun. How much power can you currently handle? The girl with the shorter hair asked, giving me a smile. Is everyone here a contestant for the most beautiful woman I've ever seen? I can currently handle just over 8% of my power, but today I want to increase it to a stable 10%. What do you mean by stable? Nino asked. It seems like his hostility goes away when he's curious. When I first gain control of my power, even though it doesn't hurt at all, it drains a lot of energy, and I end up exhausted. By stable, I mean I can maintain it for a long period of time, I concluded, only to realize we were almost there. You must train a lot, I guess, Nino said as he looked me up and down. Hey, don't eat it with your eyes, Nino, the girl with the very short hair said in a funny way. The aforementioned girl just blushed and pouted at the same time. Pretty cute if you ask me, to be honest. But that's not the point. The important thing is that we got to the training ground. Before I go, can you confirm my doubt about your relationship? And also tell me your names, I said as I opened the door and got out of the limo. I'm Ichika Nakano, said the one with short hair, and I'm the oldest. My name is Nino Nakano, said the girl with the longer hair and butterfly clips, still blushing, without looking at me. I'm the second. My name is Miku Nakano, she said reluctantly, putting on her headphones. I'm the third. Yotsuba Nakano, she said, pointing at herself and waving her ribbon. I'm fourth. You already know me, but let me introduce myself again. My name is Itsuki Nakano, she added while showing a big smile. She looks like a goddess, and I am the fifth. Huh? That means you're. Yes, Midoriya-san, we are quintuplets. Well, this day couldn't get any crazier, or so I hope. Now I guess I have to introduce myself before saying goodbye to them. Izuku Midoriya, no siblings, I said as I smiled and turned around. Good luck with your training, Midoriya-san, Naka said at the same time. No, now I have to tell them by name or it will be very complicated. Thanks for the support Itsuki-san, Yotsuba-san, I said as I turned around, but I managed to see out of the corner of my eye that all 5 of them were red. I think it's because of the heat. And off they went. Well, off to train, but first I have to find who has the keys to the training room. I headed toward the small house, which I'd thought was a mansion, but All Might told me was the one he had while living in Musetafu. On the way, I started humming a song I'd just heard, until I felt someone tap my shoulder to stop me. Midoriya-sama, Toshinori-sama asked me to give you the keys to the training hall, said a man in his 30s, Isamu. Take them, he asked me while offering me the keys. You don't have to call me Midoriya-sama, just saying Midoriya is enough, Isamu-san, I commented as I left the place, but not before thanking him. I need to master a higher percentage of one for all. I've been stable at 8% for 2 weeks now. Today I need to get to 10% without getting tired after using it for more than 30 minutes. Well, here I go. Hey kid, or should I say Izuku Midoriya, a man called out. He didn't look very old, but he was dressed very formally. He had black eyes, like a snake's, with a sharp gaze. His hair was black, not very long, and he wasn't smiling. I was hesitant to approach, but I was already inside the private property of the little house, so if he was able to get in, it's because they let him. I'm All Might's doctor friend, you can call me Maruo if you like, he introduced himself while looking at me. I must admit that he commanded quite a bit of respect. I swallowed. Come with me, I'm going to do some checkups on you to really know what your body can withstand the energy of one for all, and how it's the best way for you to master it as quickly as possible, he ordered as he left, and I instantly started to follow him. I didn't think All Might was going to tell him about one for all, though if they're really close friends I guess it makes sense. After reaching the back of the training hall I realized there was a medical room that I'd never been told was there, or maybe it's more recent. I haven't been here to train in a few days, plus the number one hero makes a lot of money. I was a little behind before. There were all sorts of medical devices that looked very new, which is great. I hope they really help me speed up my process of mastering one for all. Okay, Midoriya-kun, I'll analyze these results now, Maruo-san said, standing there staring at the leaves. Are you kidding me? Maruo-san, what are you doing? I asked as I stood up from the chair I was sitting on. The only good thing I can get out of this is that I've grown a little now. Instead of being 1.66 meters tall, I'm 1.69 meters tall. A big change. My quirk allows me to take the results of any type of examination on the human body and follow the best path according to its requirement, he explained, his eyes glowing a little yellow until they went out. Very well, I know what the best course of action is. Tell me what it is, please. I asked excitedly. Use the quirk often, that's the most efficient. Hey? The one for all is a quirk that allows you to accumulate energy or power. I don't know very well how that aspect works, but what I do know is how the human body works. Since that quirk wasn't born with you, it becomes a difference compared to those who are born with one. The quirk, however, adapts differently to each user. It is the latter who must be sufficient for the passage of energy through their body. In short, you have to accustom your body to having the quirk activated as much time as you can per day, to the point where without you needing to concentrate, it regulates itself before activating, he explained while taking the papers and putting them in a folder. Is there anything else? I thought you were going to tell me something like what percentage is best for my body right now, I replied, a little disappointed. Midoriya-kun, the first thing you have to do is what I told you. Once you master that part, we'll move on to a detailed analysis of the actual load you need to use to increase the power most effectively, he said with a serious face, then grabbed some keys and headed for the door. See you, Midoriya-kun. Why yeah, see you around, I waved. So I'll just have to use it as often as I can until it regulates itself without having to divert my concentration to keep it from breaking my limbs, I told myself. Time to rock. Ah, I can't take it anymore, I exclaimed before deactivating the OFA and suddenly falling to the ground. My body is asking me to stop, and I'm going to do it. It's almost 9 at night and I've been alternating all these hours between the power of the full cowl to maximize the usage time at high loads. Finally, I took a breath, I got a stable 10%. And everything went dark. I think I passed out or the power went out. Nah, I'm sure I'll pass out. I think I'll get home a little later than I expected. Hey kid, wake up, said a silhouette in front of me, I couldn't recognize it. Gulp, I swallowed, my mouth is very dry. I think I passed out from not having anything to drink. Well done, Izuku. You pushed your body to its limits and now you can't feel anything. 5 points from me. Little by little, my senses responded to my call, and I began to see things clearly. The person in front of me was Maruo-san? I murmured in surprise. Arg, my whole body hurts. Midoriya-kun, when I said to use your quirk a lot, I didn't mean to the point where you couldn't move, he clarified with a face that reflected a bit of relief. I'm sorry, but where am I? You're in my hospital, but don't worry, I already told your mother and told her everything is okay. That relieves me a little but. How did you tell him, Maruo-san? He didn't say anything, he just pointed at the phone that was on a pretty white nightstand next to me on my left side. It had a bottle of water on it. Take it, I know you must be quite thirsty. Even with the pain, I managed to stretch enough to grab it with my left hand. It hurts. A lot. I've already notified Toshinori about your condition, and I've also taken the liberty of giving a medical excuse to notify the UA about your body at this time, he said as he took off his doctor's gown and placed it on his left arm. Thank you so much, Maruo-san, I thanked him sincerely. I didn't expect him to help me so much. Don't be thankful, Midoriya-kun. I feel partly guilty about your condition. Maybe I should have been more specific. And not that it's your fault. I wanted to break my boundaries, but I didn't expect it to end like this. I'm sorry for the trouble I caused you. You really are like Toshinori, he said with a small smile. It seems like he doesn't do it very often. Huh? I exclaimed, confused. I'm sure you'll be a great hero, that's what matters. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to go. There's a nurse who'll be taking care of you until your body is fully recovered, he said, looking toward the door where a girl was standing who was obviously a little nervous. Thanks again, Maruo-san. I hope you recover soon, Midoriya-kun. Try not to move too much. Goodbye, he said, then walked out the door, giving the nurse a serious look. Goodbye. I'm a little sleepy. I should get some sleep. I'll turn off the light, the nurse said softly, reminding me of the first time I tried to make a friend after she. Thanks, I'll try not to cause any trouble. I made myself as comfortable as possible with my aching body. But I miscalculated the force. And fell. Ah, I cried out in pain. The girl didn't say anything, she just ran up to me and touched me. I immediately stopped feeling the pain, but at the same time I felt like I couldn't move anything, even if I tried. It felt really weird, it was making me nervous. Was it because of her quirk? Don't be scared, it's because of my quirk, sedative. It allows me to perform the same function as a sedative through direct contact without the need to inject anything, he explained to me while carefully lifting me up. She's cute. Ugh, what am I thinking? I'm in a hospital and she's taking care of me. It's not the time to notice her vanilla-colored skin, which gave the impression of being very delicate, long violet hair, which was tied in a bun. Dark blue eyes, they were quite beautiful. Are you comfortable? She asked with a nervous look. She must be a newbie at this job. Why yeah, sorry for not noticing, I'm going to get some sleep. By the way, what's your name? I hope she doesn't misinterpret it. I feel my face burning. Sparks. Oh, right, I haven't introduced myself. I'm Fuyuka Kudo, and I'm in charge of you until you can move normally. Midoriya-kun. Thank you, Kudo-san. It's nothing, Midoriya-kun. She walked away and turned off the light, leaving me alone with a beautiful night view of the city lights, a nice view before I fell asleep. I hope to be better for tomorrow. Go to sleep. I slowly opened my eyes. My body still hurts, but not as much as yesterday. With effort, I managed to rub my eyes so I can open them fully, and I yawned deeply. My mouth is stinking, I should brush my teeth. While I wait for Kudo-san to come, I'll see what happens if I try to activate One for All. One for All, full cowl, I said in a low voice as the lines of the quirk appeared on my body, but I wouldn't do that if I were you, Midoriya-kun, Kudo-san said as she entered the room with a smile on her face and a tray of food. Unless you want to scream in pain. And no thanks, I said, quickly deactivating One for All. Good morning, Kudo-san. Good morning, Midoriya-kun, are you feeling better? She asked. A little bit. My body still hurts. But I don't have as much trouble moving around as I did yesterday. Thank you, I said, smiling. You have a nice smile, Midoriya-kun, he praised me. The Susuya is also pretty cool, Kudo-san, I swallowed, trying to calm my nerves a little. I didn't expect that comment. You can eat, Dr. Maruo-san will come soon and examine you himself, so relax a little in the meantime, he advised, leaving the room. Okay, let's eat. Itadakimasu, I said, clasping my palms together and grabbing the chopsticks, which almost fell off. I took a bite of the food and put it in my mouth, chewing a bit. It tastes awful, I smiled at that. I'm sorry that the food at my hospital isn't to your liking, Midoriya-kun, Maruo-san interrupted my solitude. It's not that, I just prefer my mom's, I tried to apologize. Don't worry. We all have preferences, and I don't really like hospital food either. I prefer my daughter's, she added with a straight face. I didn't know you had a daughter. I have more than one, maybe I'll introduce them to you sometime while we go over something. Understood. Time skip 2 days. Home sweet home, I said as I walked into my house with my mother, who, to my surprise, took it better than I expected. Although when you find out that your son was able to destroy a giant robot in one fell swoop, breaking his legs and an arm in the process, I doubt a simple feigning spell from overexertion will surprise you much. In any case, he'd much rather choose option 2 than option 1. Izuku, you'll have to go back to school tomorrow. I've already washed your uniform and gotten you ready for tomorrow, and I've also prepared the bath so you can freshen up properly, my mother said with a smile. I don't know what I did to deserve you, I said as I hugged her. Thanks, Mom. I went and took a relaxing shower, which I really needed, brushed my teeth and headed to my room where I was greeted by several miniature smiles from the #1 hero. It's a good thing I sold more than half of my All Might figure collection, otherwise I'd feel like a stalker, I said, walking over to my closet and grabbing the first thing I found. A lot has changed since last year. I sat down in my chair, decided to play a bit on my PC, a good investment, by the way, and check my email. No messages. Well, considering I haven't given it to anyone, it's not like I was expecting much. Oh wait, Amazon sent me a message. It's something, I guess, I sighed tiredly. I've been using One for All at 5% compressed for quite a while now, meaning I'm avoiding the signature lightning bolts that come with activating the quirk. But that tires me out pretty quickly, and I'm not even talking about trying to increase the amount of energy, but it's also my body can adapt to the quirk more quickly. By the time I checked the time, I realized I should go to sleep. Knock knock knock. Izuku, it's time for dinner, come down, the food is ready, said my mother before heading towards the dining room. I'm coming, Mom, I deactivated One for All since I was too tired to keep it active. The next day. Goodbye Izuku, be careful, my mother said goodbye. Yes, ma'am. I repeated my usual route toward the UA. I activated the compressed One for All and picked up my pace a little without attracting too much attention. After turning a few blocks, I finally reached the entrance. Just then, I heard a vehicle park behind me. I turned around to see who it was. It was the Quintuplets. Oh Midoriya-san. Hello, she greeted happily. Hello, is this Yotsuba-san? More than responding to her greeting, it was a question. You got it right, she exclaimed in surprise. Phew, thank goodness he didn't notice I was second-guessing my answer. Mental note, differentiate them correctly. Midoriya-san, good morning, said another of the sisters, I hope I'm not mistaken. Good morning, Itsuki-san, I greeted him as well, and from his expression I could tell I had hit the mark. Izuku-kun, good morning. Izuku-kun? Wow, I didn't think they'd call me by name so quickly. Although since I call them by name, it makes a little sense that they might do it too. If Momo found out, I think she'd be a little, maybe a lot, mad. I'm on a roll, if I hit the target here too, my chances of missing the next 2 will be 50%. Gee, good morning, Ichika-san. She smiled, great, out of the 5 I got 3 right, not bad considering it's the second time I've seen 3 of them. Good morning, he greeted me with a look that didn't reflect much enthusiasm. I already knew who it was. Good morning, Miku-san, I smiled as I raised my hand to greet the person behind me. Good morning, Nino-san, too. Although the latter didn't even turn to look at me, I could see her glance in my direction for a few seconds. Then the person I'd greeted earlier arrived. Good morning, Deku-kun. Good morning, Uraka-san, but we hadn't even spoken when the alarm signaling that classes were starting rang. Uraka-san pulled my shirt and we ran off. Bye girls, I said, almost shouting as our paths parted because we weren't in the same class. They just nodded and continued on their way. All I could tell was that Miku-san was already very tired and needed some exercise. After turning down several hallways and climbing the stairs, we finally arrived at the living room, where Momo was waiting for us with a slightly intimidating look on her face. It's nice to see the example you set by being late, President, the President pointed out as she approached him. Who would have thought you'd be late too, Uraka-san? I'm sorry, Yaoyorozu-san. Why yes, I'm sorry too, Momo-san, I apologized, lowering my gaze a little nervously, then I understood that I had made a mistake. Momo-san? The kids shouted. This is going to take a while. At least the kids have calmed down a bit, I said quietly to Momo while the others paid attention to the class. Yes, Izuku-kun, said Momo, taking a pen to take some notes. I'm a fool, but that's something I knew beforehand, so I'm not too surprised when I make a mistake. The problem is that, Thanks to my great luck, everything ends up going 3 times worse than expected. I should have a lucky charm. And that's how you calculate gravitational potential energy, said Ashawa-sensei, staring at us. Questions? Who's the bigger fool? The fool, or the fool who follows the fool? Kaminari asked. You. And I mean questions about the class, Ashawa-sensei replied without much enthusiasm. Some asked some questions. I understood the topic without much trouble, so I remained silent until we finally changed classes and Uraka approached me to talk to me. I thought I was your best friend, Deku-kun, she said, closing her eyes dramatically and pretending to be hurt. I'm so sorry, I apologized dramatically to play along. From now on, I'll call you Ochako-chan, I joked, but she took it a little seriously. She opened her eyes quickly and looked at me in disbelief. Honestly, whenever she and I joke around like this, at least that's how it's been since we met a little over 2 years ago. Even though she was from a different secondary school, that didn't stop us from becoming quite close. Plus, in one of those many encounters, I met Momo, who at first was quite proud. But Uraka taught her humility, and now she behaves better with others. Well, but I'll keep calling you Deku-kun, I already consider it something special between the two of us, she said a little blushing. Adorable. Ochako-chan, you better go to your seat, class is about to start. She just nodded and skipped off a bit. Now that I think about it, I think she's even smaller than the quintuplets. She also wears tights like Miku. Focus, Izuku, stay on track. Or. She also wears those sheer tights like Miku. Izuku, don't get distracted now. Okay, it's time for class, be quiet, said Cementos-sensei, suddenly entering the classroom with a friendly look. I think today is going to be a long day, thank goodness a new episode of All Might's Adventure premieres today, that makes up for it a bit. A katsudon, please, I asked, and they gave it to me. What would I do without you, katsudon? You should eat something else, Izuku-kun, Momo said as she kept up with me. Nope. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. She just huffed and walked over to the table where the other girls were, and that's what I was going to be if not for. Izuku-kun, one of the Nakano sisters called, waving her hand as if she wanted me to come. Don't just stand there, come here. So I was right, plus 5 points for me for noticing. I don't know whether to go or pretend I don't hear them and leave. I'm not that cruel, I better get closer to see what they want. I took a few steps until I reached them. Itsuki had his mouth full, Yotsuba was looking at the floor, Miku was looking at a green can, Nino turned around so as not to see me and Ichika approached me at an angle where her attributes stood out. I quickly looked away, I must respect her. Izuku-kun, do you want to eat with us? She asked. Yes, I said without thinking. Gosh, my mind went on automatic again. I have to learn to say no once in a while or else I'll get into something I don't want to do. No. Nino quickly denied. Why does he have to eat with us? She said with a bit of anger while crossing her arms. You're with me, right, Miku? I don't know if it's the best thing to do. He barely knows us, she said, supporting Nino. But you talk like you're something bad. I think I should go, see you later Ichika-san, I said goodbye and left before my katsudon cooled down. After walking around and finding a free spot, I sat down and started eating. Or so it was until someone caught my attention. Midoriya-san. 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 He shouted, making me react. I looked up until I found Yotsuba, she was watching me while smiling and her cheeks were a little red. I looked down as I felt my face burn from the closeness. Yotsuba-san, what's wrong? Which is yours, the one with the perfect score or the one with 0? He asked while holding 2 exams in his hands. I gulped. I've never seen such a low score. Thank goodness it's not mine, woe to anyone who is. Wait a minute. The one with 100, I said, pointing to the one that had all the correct answers. She gave it to me with a smile, unlike Maruo-san, Yotsuba does seem to do it quite often. Honest, then I'll give you both, he added, giving me the 0-point card. No need, Yotsuba-san. It's yours, right? She looked surprised and scratched her head a little nervously, I see. She's embarrassed that I see her grades so low. Don't feel bad, I said, trying to cheer her up, Yotsuba-san. I bet if you study hard enough, you could raise your grades. That's what your tutor is for, right? You're right, Midoriya-san, she replied, forming a small smile. I'll try hard to improve my grades. I'll support you as much as I can, although I'll try not to take your tutor's work away, I said, scratching my cheek a little nervously. She stared at me and her ribbon immediately stood up and her face turned a little red. I hope I didn't say anything wrong. Thanks for the help, she thanked him, sitting down on the chair since she was standing. It doesn't matter. Still, this is the first time I've seen a perfect score, she praised. If only she knew it wasn't always like this. It's truly amazing. I know that if you try hard you can get as good grades as I do. She slowly lifted her feet off the floor, then placed them slightly angled on the chair. She leaned toward me, resting her hands on the table. She took a small sigh and formed a big smile. My first impression of you was that you were kind-hearted and friendly, but very nervous, she commented, her eyes closed, but then she opened them suddenly. Our gazes collided, and I felt my heart skip a beat. But now I think you're a genius. The words didn't come out. Although I'd received compliments from other people before, I'd never felt as special as I did now. My heart was racing. I need to calm down. I feel very flattered, Yotsuba-san, I managed to say, trying not to let my nerves show. She got out of her seat and smiled at me, her ribbon moved a little and I stared at her, but then I remembered. By the way, thank you very much, Yotsuba-san. But where did you find my test? I asked doubtfully. When you left I noticed you dropped your test so I picked it up, you're welcome. I owe you one, Yotsuba-san. She nodded and headed to her table with the other girls, who bombarded her with questions as soon as she arrived. Nino turned around angrily to look at me, and I could only smile, a little nervously, looking away. That girl makes me nervous, but I don't know if it's a good way or a bad way. But enough with thinking about unnecessary things. It's time to eat, itadakimasu. I put my palms together and then took my chopsticks, took a bit of a pork cutlet and chewed it. It was delicious but... It's cold, I sighed sadly. I had to eat it cold, this is what I get for wasting time, but I guess it was worth it to cheer Yotsuba up a bit. She's a good girl, I said to myself. Today was a day of ups and downs. On one hand, I cheered for Yotsuba, and on the other, my katsudon cooled off. Life is full of disappointments, especially for me, but seeing Yotsuba's smile in my mind made it last a little longer. Well, I'm already at the entrance of UA. I'm going to wait for Ida-kun and Ochako to go together. Midoriya-san. Someone called behind me, so I turned around and realized it was Yotsuba. Yotsuba-san, I said, unconsciously smiling at her. You're leaving now, aren't you? Yes, she replied cheerfully. Do you need us to take you to the same place as last time? And no, the doctor said I still have to avoid using my quirk too much until tomorrow. So that's what Dad said, she said thoughtfully, talking about. Dad? Dad? Or you didn't know, but the doctor who treated you is our father, Muruo Nakano, explained a voice behind Yotsuba. Itsuki-san, I didn't know. Muruo-san only told me his first name. I had no idea what his last name was, so I didn't ask. Don't worry, he doesn't usually give his last name, I don't know why, he said, eating something. There was a little staining next to his lip. I don't know what exactly happened, maybe it was out of politeness, but by the time I regained consciousness, my hand was covered by a handkerchief which was on Itsuki's cheek, wiping away the excess cream from his donut. I'm sorry, I cried, embarrassed, as I pulled away from her, causing the handkerchief to fall to the floor. What the hell did I do? I looked up and saw the other sisters were very surprised, while Itsuki slowly lifted him up with her free hand while looking down at the ground. She's probably angry and going to yell at me. Goodbye, new friendship. Hey! Why did you approach her like that? Nino angrily demanded, approaching me with an angry face. As I walked I could see that his shoelaces were tied incorrectly. Nino-san, your sore muscles. Reply. But she stepped on them and fell right on top of me. By the time I opened my eyes, I realized she was on top of me. And that we were kissing too. I froze. What the hell is going on? Ah! She shouted as soon as she stood up and looked at me with a completely red face. Listen to me carefully, Midoriya, this was an accident, don't mention it to anyone, understand? She asked, but she was still in shock. I said yes, understand. Why yes? Itsuki approached me looking at the floor and stretched out her hand where I had my handkerchief with which I cleaned it. She saw me and I realized that her face was as red as mine, but I think she didn't notice my kiss with Nino because she was lost in her thoughts. She's going to think I'm a sister stealer. Thank you. Midoriya-kun, she said. And no need to. Now he uses kun on me, apparently he didn't get angry, that's good. Gee goodbye Midoriya-san, Yotsuba said goodbye a little nervously. Yes, see you later. Good luck with your tutor. She's a tutor, Miku interrupted with her serious look. I gulped. Then good luck with your tutor. They left me alone while I was still waiting for Ida and Ochako. Maybe I should go. I'm really nervous. I can't believe my first kiss was like this, let alone with a girl as beautiful as Nino. Remember it was an accident, Izuku. Don't get any crazy ideas. Midoriya-kun. Ida called me, almost shouting at me. Oh, Ida-kun, Ochako-chan, sorry for keeping you waiting. We were the ones who took so long, Deku-kun, sorry, Ochako apologized. Are you okay? Why yes, why? We were calling you but you weren't paying attention to us, besides, you haven't stopped touching your lips since before we arrived, is everything okay? Ochako asked with a worried look, I must look like an idiot right now. It's nothing, it's better if we go before the train leaves us. I tried to change the subject to avoid further questions. Yeah, I can't be late home today, Ida said as he moved his arms robotically. Both Ochako and I resisted the urge to laugh at our friend. I don't know how I'll be able to look at Nino's face tomorrow without thinking about what happened a little while ago. Why did this have to happen to me? I hope Maruo-san doesn't find out, otherwise. It's better not to think about it, I said to myself as I walked towards the train station. Should I talk to my mom about this? I think the obvious answer is no, but only she can help me with these romantic issues. Even though my dad abandoned us, I don't think he's the only boyfriend she's ever had. Let's hope for the best. I'm sorry, Izuku, but the only boyfriend I had was your father, so I can't help you much, my mom answers somewhat embarrassed. Damn, I can't believe my mom doesn't have more romantic experience besides the one she had with my dad. It's time for plan B. Mom, how do you know when you like someone? Izuku. That question you're asking me is the same one I asked your grandmother when I was your age, my mother smiled a little nostalgically. My maternal grandmother died a few years ago, and it's clear she still misses her. I don't know how to put it simply, but when I fell in love with your father, beyond feeling the famous butterflies in my stomach or thinking about what it would be like if you and that special someone were together, I felt something very different, she said, smiling as she looked toward her room. Your father made me feel like I was everything he'd ever lived for. He made me feel everything even when I thought I was nothing. Mom shed a few small tears. I know how much my father's death hurt her. Even though I say he abandoned us, it was because of his death, which I call her that. I know it's not his fault he suffered a car accident, but whether it was his fault or not, my mother cried for him for days. To the point of having to put certain photos away for a while until she found the ground strong enough to look at them again without breaking down. He was always listening to me, helping me, loving me, but most importantly, she smiled as she rarely had, and a lump formed in my throat. Staying by my side no matter what, even the day before he died, he never left my side. I was everything to him, and I'll never forget that. I hugged Mom as I buried my face in her shoulder. I didn't want her to see me, but those words struck a chord with me. I wonder if I'll ever find someone I love, and who will love me like that. A question clicked in my mind. What made you fall in love with Dad? To get to know him better, to see the real Hisashi Midoriya. I hugged my mother even tighter. It wasn't the response I was expecting, but I think it's what I need right now. Izuku, it's time to sleep, go to your room, my mother ordered, gently breaking the hug. Yes, ma'am. I got up from the couch and said goodbye to my mom. I went into my room and took off a shirt I was wearing since it was very hot. I opened the window to let some air in and I could see the clear sky. It looked clear, but suddenly there was a power outage, leaving the city in darkness. That's when I was able to witness the true beauty of the sky, adorned by hundreds of stars. Amidst the immensity of the sky, I could see a shooting star, and I made a wish. As I did, it split into 6 pieces. Hey, how strange. Maybe some villain destroyed something related to the power lines, but with heroes like All Might around, I doubt it will get out of hand. I hope I have a good dream. I opened my eyes and realized I wasn't in my bed. I looked around and saw that there were quite a few people around me, my mom, Ochako, Momo, Ida, Maruo-san, and several others, but they were all dressed very elegantly. I looked at my own clothes and saw that I was dressed like I was for a wedding. I couldn't move even if I tried, nor could I speak, but everyone else could, though everything was interrupted when a girl in a wedding dress walked through some enormous wooden doors. I couldn't quite make her out. But her mere presence made me shudder to the core. She approached slowly while everyone watched her closely. Was I going to get married? But I don't even know who the hell she is. But my thoughts didn't matter much, she kept moving until she was standing next to me. The priest, who was sitting a short distance behind us, said a few words, but I didn't quite understand them. Suddenly, I felt my body begin to move on its own. My hands went toward the veil covering the girl's face, and when I lifted it. Knock knock knock. Izuku, it's time for you to wake up. I woke up suddenly when my mom called. I'm coming. Who was the girl with the veil, and why did mom have to wake me up just when I was going to see who it was? Although I must admit it felt good.